Okay, so when we talk about the future, we always deal with uncertainty, right? Because nobody knows what will happen. And so next we will be looking at how we would be calculating next year's expected return and expected variance or expected standard deviation, which is simply the square root of variance. In real life, we cannot really predict the future. And so when we are trying to predict something for, let's say, next year, once 1 year has gone by, we will realize that we made a mistake. We are always going to be making mistakes. So generally, actual returns are not equal to what we expected them to be. And we say that actual return, capital R, has two components. What we thought it would be, or the expected component, E, and in the brackets R. And the second component is what we did not expect to see, the unexpected component, which we denote by capital U. So mathematically, it's as if we have R, that's the actual return, equals E in brackets R, expected return, plus capital U, the unexpected return. Let's look at an example. So this unexpected return can be either positive or negative. For example, let's say a year ago, we expected the return over the year to be equal to 15%. So this is the expected return, what we thought it would be. But 1 year later, so since our last year's prediction, 1 year went by, we are now today, and we can actually observe what we received from the company, which translates into some percentage return. And let's say that actual return is now 12%. So what does it mean? We thought the return would be 15%, but it ended up being lower than that, only 12%. It's 3% lower. So we say that the unexpected return component is negative 3%. Negative means that we received less than we expected, right? So we overestimated our return. We were too optimistic. Or let's look at the second example. Maybe we expected the return to be 11%, but the actual return is now 12%. So we were maybe too pessimistic, or maybe for whatever reason, we didn't expect to earn such a high 12% return, and our expectation was to increase the value of our investment by just 11%. So we did better by 1%. We did 1% better than we thought we would. So we have the unexpected return component equal to 1%, which is positive. So positive means we did better than we expected. Negative means we did worse than we expected. It's also probably reasonable to say that we're always going to be off, either overestimating or underestimating how much we will earn on our investment. So over time, over many years, right? So as we keep kind of estimating our future returns, the unexpected return component on average will equal 0. So 0 means that we are never consistently optimistic or pessimistic. We are always kind of reasonable in making our predictions about what we think will happen in the future in terms of how high of a return we may earn. But sometimes we will be underestimating, sometimes we will be overestimating. And on average, we will sort of kind of break even. On average, our error will be 0. And that's because all negative and positive components of the actual return will basically cancel each other out. Question: what do the expected and the unexpected components of return depend on? Well, this is directly related to the last topic, conceptual topic, in chapter 12, at the end of chapter 12, called market efficiency. So it was all about what makes stock prices fluctuate, go up and down all the time. And that was information, because of any new information that comes in. Like a company posts on his website that it has just made a deal with another company to merge or something like that. So anything like that, whether it's good or bad, a good or a bad announcement, it will immediately affect what investors think about where the company is heading in the future. If they think that it's a positive news, then they will be willing to pay more money to buy the shares of stock, right? Or maybe we can say it differently. They would expect that the company will be more profitable and make higher profit every year, which will allow the company to pay higher dividends to investors. So maybe all of that information is what, actually not maybe, this is exactly how the expected return component is determined. So the expected component of return, E and R in the brackets, depends on investors' information about the stock and on their understanding today of the important factors that will influence the stock next year. What about the unexpected component, the capital U? That's all other, that's the error we're gonna make, right? How much off we will be when we are at that point of time in the future for which we were trying to estimate the stock return, and realize that okay, we are off, we overestimated or we underestimated. So why would that discrepancy in the between the expected and the actual returns be? It would happen because of any new information, such as announcements, news, etc., that would be revealed between today, when the prediction is made, and next year, for which we were trying to make the prediction. And it will change the stock return next year, which was previously unanticipated.